Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I have some huge and very exciting news to share with you, and that is that I am going to be competing in the Europe, Middle East and Africa Regionals Tournament in April. So this is of course a GeoGuessr tournament. It's going to be held in Stockholm, and yeah, I am super excited and I want to talk about it, talk about my thoughts on being invited. I want to talk about my thoughts on how the American tournament went. I want to talk about, what I think about my chances, how I'm going to prepare, and yeah, stuff like that. Just everything I can think of to talk about. So, yeah, so a bit of background for how this is all working. So, firstly, if you don't know, there was a World Cup last year, the very first GeoGuessr World Cup organized by the devs in 2023. There was a World Cup before that, a Team World Cup organized um, not officially by the devs, but organized by the French community. And I also participated in that. It was a lot of fun. Um, but yeah, a background for last year's World Cup. I competed in last year's World Cup, as you can see. I was in Group 3. I came fourth place in my group table. I was like very, very closely tied with Jupe and McPotato. So was really unfortunate not to qualify into the next stage, even after having like 3 out of 5 wins. But yeah, I had a great time last World Cup. I feel like I played really well, and yeah, and now I've just been invited to the Europe Regionals. And the way this is working this time, so we have 3 tournaments: Americas, Europe, Asia, and the Pacific. Which Asia Pacific includes Australia as well. Americas has just happened, and these 3 tournaments, obviously, they act as tournaments within themselves. They all take place in Stockholm, but they also act as like a qualifying for this year's World Cup, 2024 World Cup, which is going to take place in September. So America's just happened. There are 8 people participating and 5 people qualified directly to World Cup. Asia's going to be the same: 8 people playing, and yeah, 5 get direct qualified. Europe has 16 people playing, and 10 people get qualified to the World Cup, and so that makes 20 people qualified from these to the World Cup, and then there's going to be like 4 wild cards or something. I don't know exactly know how that's going to work, but yeah. So as you can see here, I'm one of 9 people that secured a spot without having to qualify for it. So here we have the 9 people: Consus, Blinky, Giovanni, Topotic, Alok, Debray, Gelotris, myself, and Lenly. So uh, this has been causing quite a lot of controversy, and the controversy is the fact that way too many people have been invited directly. So there's only like 7 spots up for qualifying, which is really, really not much. And honestly, I am just super lucky to get a spot. I agree, even though I've been invited, I agree that the devs probably shouldn't have invited so many people directly. But I mean, what can I say, if I've been invited, I'm definitely going to take up the offer, and I'm just really, really grateful for the chance. And yeah, what can I say? If anything, it's a little bit of a consolation for the fact that I just missed the top 3 last year after even playing really well. So yeah. One thing that I hope that they are not going to do is, because there's also been like obviously controversy in the fact that the devs are very much set on country diversity. So you can see how the Americas went. There are 3 people qualified directly: Jake, Fungus, and Chicago. They were the only people from the Americas that participated in last year's World Cup, though they just direct qualified all 3. That yeah, kind of regardless of how well they did, because I think Chicago Drogfer got 2 wins, maybe Jake got 1 win in the last year's World Cup, something like that. But yeah, they all got qualified directly to this tournament, and the others had to qualify, so they had something like 24 odd people were selected for the online qualifiers, and out of those people, Orlando from Brazil, we had Totem from Uruguay, Flyme from Argentina, Gingy from US, and moved from Canada. So and you can see from that that they selected people from very distinct countries. And the controversy is the fact that like there's so many really really good American players, for example, but only one US player got a spot through the qualifying. Um, but yeah, they're just trying to keep the country diversity. And what I hope is not going to happen. I hope they're not going to kind of prevent people from these 9 countries from having a chance to qualify. Because honestly, that made me feel really bad because there's so many good UK players, for example, like GC, like Bag, like Harrier, and there's others like RLH. Yeah, there's a lot of good UK players, and I really hope that those people get an opportunity as well. Because yeah, I feel bad that I've just been so lucky to, um, yeah, get this automatic space. But yeah, uh, anyhow, I am like super excited for it, and yeah, I want to talk about like how the Americas went, and how that influences my thoughts on how this is going to go, and like how I'm going to prepare and stuff. So yeah, it was streamed on Twitch last weekend. Was a very very exciting, nail biting, fun event. And yeah, like one thing that I did notice, I think Jake was talking about it quite a lot, is the fact that the moving map had, the maps in general had a bit less info heavy rounds than the previous World Cup. And yeah, for example, even the moving map, like a lot of the rounds were super rural, and even if you're clicking for like close to 1 minute, a lot of the time the players didn't find much info, so there was a heavy emphasis on players like Gingy, who is really good with vegetation stuff. Like he was kind of insta-sending a lot, and yeah, not giving people like Jake, like CG, the time to find information. And honestly, that like might influence how I prepare for this, because um, I feel like I'm pretty decent at like using information. Even though I'm like a no move an MPZ player for the most part, I feel like I enjoy using info and yeah, learning camera pattern and things like that. And I emphasized that quite a lot when I was preparing for the World Cup last year. But this year, I feel like I'm not going to be learning too much more in terms of camera pattern, provinces, and things like that, just because of how the maps went for this Americas tournament. I'll obviously be, reviewing and refreshing my knowledge on things I've learned before. Yeah, camera pattern, because obviously, like, it's easy to forget camera pattern because there's so many, but a lot of my emphasis on preparation will be like trying to up my rural skills. Yeah, especially those are just really hard, arbitrary rural style NMPZ rounds. I just want to minimize throwing. I want to minimize throwing the like continent or the country on those really difficult rounds, those sort of Mediterranean roulette car rounds, or those Colombia versus Mexico round. So I'll be doing a lot of practice. Yeah, another thing that I really, really need to study up in, that I'm really behind in, is study up on things like car meta, things like copyright, because uh, if you watch a lot of my videos, you see that I almost always play with a no car script, which honestly, like, it's my by far my like favorite way to play the game. But unfortunately, this tournament is not going to be like that. That this tournament will have car meta, will have copyright, and even in MPZ. Sadly, a lot of the NNPZ rounds I saw were showing the car, showing the antenna, so I definitely am behind on that knowledge, and I find it super boring and super tedious, but I just have to study that stuff if I'm in for a chance, because yeah, um, there's only so much you can do with like vibe guessing on a rural rush around, for example, in some situations, so yeah, I do need to study up on some of that. At least enough that I'm not going to throw a ridiculous amount of points. So that will be a focus. Don't enjoy it at all, but fortunately it has to be a focus for preparing for this. So yeah, especially Russia. Like I really need to learn Russia. Really need to learn like a lot of the antenna. There's like Type A, Type B, Type C antenna stuff that like I've already looked into it. I've already forgotten everything because my brain can't like remember that stuff really like long term. It's really yeah, I really struggle with it, but I'm going to try my best to learn as much of it as I can. And yeah, I'll just also polls. So yeah, I need to brush up on like my poll knowledge is also a bit lagging behind. Um, but yeah, what do I think about like how this is gonna go? Like my chances. So yeah, obviously out of the 9 people that have been invited, we've got some really, really, really cracked players. Especially, you've got like Consus, who obviously won the World Cup, so no brainer. Very, very tough opponent. Blinky, who is just absolutely insane at moving, but also pretty much insane all around at no move at NPZ as well. And you've got places like Topotic is crazy good, like Debray and Lenley, like everyone really is just super, super skilled. And the fact that there's only been like 7 spaces, I'm going to expect people like Finbar, people like Shimmy or Trichter, the best of the best European players to take up these last 7 spots. I mean, it kind of depends like how the qualifying is going to go because I think they play like 6 games. I think it's like 3 move, 3 no, 3 move, 2 no with one MPZ, which is honestly not a big sample size. So you could see players get in that just have the games of their lives, but on average, maybe they don't play as well as some of the better players, and they could just get lucky with the seeds. There could be situations like that, just because of how limited the like sample of games is gonna be. Um, and one thing I don't know, like how much they're going to emphasize, because obviously they're going a lot for country diversity. Are they going to try and invite some like Africa Middle East players, which like I don't know many Africa Middle East players. I know like a couple of South Africans. I think there's Max from South Africa, and there's like I know Truly Buzzy has is like I'm not sure if he like lives in New Zealand or he's like dual nationality, New Zealand, South Africa, so he might be able to play for South Africa. And then Middle East, there's even like not that many. I think there's a few from like Saudi and Lebanon, but there's not that many known players from Middle East. So I don't know if they're gonna try and like invite someone from those regions for the sake of diversity. So we'll see. Uh, who knows? But in any case, it's going to be super tough. And I think a lot tougher for us in Europe than it is going to be for the Americas in terms of average skill level. Obviously, like the skill level in the Americas was great, but Europe is just going to be completely insane just because there's so many good players. Like honestly, the fact that there's 16 players is like it's already double the number of players in like Americas and Asia Pacific, but honestly, in terms of like the skill level and the number of people like pros in the community, like from this region of the world, it should probably be like 24 or something. There's just so many good players from Europe, but yeah, I'm just so grateful to have this uh, opportunity to take place. So yeah, I also want to quickly talk about like what do I think about my chances, how am I going to do in this? Honestly, like I feel like I'm definitely going to be an underdog on this. Uh, like you have obviously like Consus, Blinky, even Topotic. I feel like a lot better players than me, and these 7 are probably likely to be better than me. So I'm definitely an underdog, but I'm going to be doing as much preparation as I can. Just I'm going to try my absolute best and just grind as many games as I have time for, really, without like overwhelming myself. I guess it's going to be really, really nerve-wracking, but also just super exciting. And yeah, my goal is I guess, to qualify if I can for the September World Cup. But yeah, I'm just hoping to have fun and prove myself and just uh, yeah, have a good time in Stockholm. So I feel like I definitely have a chance. Like, I definitely did well in Stockholm last year. Like, I mean, obviously, I won more games than I lost, which means something. And like, I beat Jupa, who was a really cracked player. I gave Radu a really, really good game. Like, the main reason I lost was because I just made a big blunder on New Zealand. Right, I thought I saw a Irish gate, and I just tunnel visioned on Ireland in the New Zealand round and just completely lost the game automatically from that. But yeah, I gave him a really good game, and the other games I played pretty well as well. So yeah, you know, I if I put the mind to it, I can definitely compete. And if I brush up on my weaknesses, my car meta, my polls, and my rural vibes, my Mediterranean MPZ 50/50s, you know, difficult vegetation sort of rounds, then I feel like, yeah, I could do pretty well. So we'll see how it goes. And yeah, stay tuned for more videos coming up soon. I will be. I know I haven't posted much in the last week or so. Yeah, I kind of had a bit of a bad time with the rest of the hiking season, so I'm not uploading any of that, unfortunately. But I'm going to be uploading more kind of casual duels games. I'm probably going to go carry on with like a casual duel series where I, yeah, record a mix of move, no move, and MPZ duels, and yeah, go through my thoughts and stuff. So that's going to be coming up soon. Maybe it's other bits of videos here and there when I have time for. So yeah, I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.